of all of the wonderful things that you do. So, well, do you want to kick off, Anne, and just introduce the purpose of today's conversation, and then I'd be really pleased to ask you some questions.
Yeah, so, well, obviously we've worked together and you just would ask me such amazing questions at the end of our session about what I do and how the information comes through and things like that, that we decided to, record this so that we could have a chat, see what
Yeah.
questions come up, I answer them and we'll go from there. Really, yeah, and I think the main thing is that we really give people an idea who are not used to the type of work that I do, or healing specifically.
Yes.
Gives them some information or a different way of looking at things. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's probably a good segue for me, just to introduce myself to whoever's listening. So, yeah, as you say, I first of all learnt a lot more about you and your business while you were presenting at a seminar that we were both attending. And I must admit, I hadn't heard anything about what you were talking about.
Yes.
Interested in, different healing options and health and well-being. And I remember looking at the title, The Body and Animal Whisperer, which in itself is obviously so unique and intriguing. And it was lovely actually to meet you in person while you were presenting, because I could just see the passion and your personal story, which I know we'll hear a little more about as we go through the questions.
Yeah.
It was so touching. And I think that's all you really want. When you're working with someone, you want to know a little bit about what and why their passion comes from, and more importantly, why they do what they do. And I think that was really obvious. So I know for me, you definitely came into my life at a time that I needed a little more support. And it was probably at a time where I was able just to sit back and reassess a couple of options for myself, but more importantly, really talk about some of the physical pain that I was experiencing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so that was how we came to meet. And I really liked the style and the option of having that initial free coaching consultation, because I think that's when we connected, and on an individual level, you were able just to dig a little deeper, and you just built rapport so quickly.
Yeah.
Allowed me to feel very comfortable to open up and explore, if we did work together, what might we focus on.
Yeah, and that's why I really like offering those free consultations. It's a real special time for us to be able to just talk in private about what's going on for you. And I really get a feel during that time whether I'm the right person to help you, because I don't work with everyone who books a free consultation with me.
Yeah.
There's really got to be that connection there, and I've got, I'll just feel it. And so I know for you was really quite hesitant when we first were having that initial conversation, and you were asking me so many questions because it was just your mind was in the way of working, together. And that's why I pushed you a little bit, because I really knew that I was the right person to help you and get you results. And so when I feel that myself, I will do what it takes, to get that opportunity to work with you, really.
Yeah, which is a skill, because to do that in a very supportive manner without having the person that you're talking to feel so vulnerable is a skill. So, I do think that that's a standout from my experience, and I'm sure other people that have worked with you, having read, some of your website testimonials, that clearly they've had that same experience. So, maybe just from that, is it helpful for people just listening for you to summarise very briefly what you do? Because as I said, it's quite a unique title.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to hear from you what you do and how you came to do what you do.
Yeah, okay. All right. So for the women out there who don't know, I actually used to be a complete skeptic when it came to alternative therapies. I really wasn't interested in them, and there was anything that I would hear about them just went straight over my head. I just didn't have that. I didn't resonate with women. I was a corporate background, very strategic, you know, organised, you know, all the
go.
Yeah, complete opposite from what you actually need to be able to do to connect in with spirit and be able to work with spirit and get results. So when we emigrated to Australia, a situation happened to us where we got into a financial situation. So we'd gone from being really financially secure, not having to work for a couple of years, because it had always been my dream to live in Australia, and I wanted to make sure that it would work out the best way it could, because I was that planner, you know, it will be perfect. We literally got here, we had no mortgage, we had money in the bank, and then we got involved with a financial advisor and we nearly lost everything, including our home. And I hit rock bottom, but there was no, I can't even tell you what I went through, because everything, all my security and everything that I'd ever known had been taken away from us. We didn't have any family in Australia, hardly any friends. We'd only just been, you know, arrived, and my husband had given up a really good job to allow me to follow my dream of living here. And we went through a really hard couple of months. But my next door neighbour gave me this book and said to me one day, you should really have a look at this and have a read. And I cannot remember what the book was called, but something switched on inside me where I knew there was something bigger than us that can help us get out of situations that we're in.
Yeah.
So I started to change the way that I was thinking. I was starting to do different things, and we got out of the situation, which was absolutely fantastic. Like, we still lost some money, but not, our home was safe, and we got our savings back. So I was then seeing that this actually worked, you know. It didn't need to be so strategic all the time. There was something else that could help. And what happened, and then I wasn't really doing anything with it, and I had some friends who would say to me, oh, you should go deeper and you should start looking into it a bit more. And I really wasn't interested at that stage. I still had that skepticism there. And that is when Ella was sent into my life. So Ella was a CNI dog. She was 6 years old. She had cancer. She'd just had her toe amputated, and they asked if she could come and stay with us for 3 weeks while they did the paperwork, because they was going to put her to sleep. And as soon as she walked down the driveway on that first day to come and stay with us, I just felt this complete shift in my whole body, and I knew that I wasn't going to let her die. And so our healing journey began together. I began studying healing modalities, different techniques to help her. And she would literally come and nudge me when she wanted me to work with her. I would get up, shake, walk off as if nothing had happened. And like, we asked if we could keep her, and they said yes, definitely. So that was fantastic. And just over the next few months, she really got this spark back in her eye. She was like a pup again. And it was all going really well. And then my husband had an accident, and some corrugated iron went through the crease of his arm. It went through like a vein and an artery. And when we got back from the hospital, he'd had all these stitches internally and externally. And I said, oh, can I practice on you what I do for Ella? And he was a skeptic as well and went, do what you like, I don't care. Thinking it wasn't going to work. And I started to work with him. He went, oh my God, Anne, he said, I can't believe what's happening in my body and what I can see and things. So he really gave me that feedback that I needed. And then I just spent the next years just really practicing with different people and animals, and it's just growing from there. So I love what I do.
Wow.
It's really cool.
And it's quite amazing, because I think even when I heard that story, and it's always lovely to hear it again, you know, it's still so fascinating, because it's not something that we're used to hearing about, which is why it's so unique. So I should imagine you use the word. Some people might be skeptical, and I was a little bit initially, but I'm the sort that will always give something a go before I have an opinion, which is why it's so nice to be able to talk and share my story and help hopefully others learn about these options if that's of interest to them. But I'm just wondering, it might be another way to help people understand how it works. So we've talked about that initial consultation call.
Yeah.
Other questions I've got for you, and in your experience, do clients have to have a really sound knowledge on what they want to focus on, or is that something that develops over time?
Yeah, normally women come to me as a last resort, so they've tried lots of other different like medicine or chiropractors, physio, acupuncture, and still not got the results. They've got a little bit of a shift, but it's not. They've still got the problem, and so they come to me and to see if I can actually help them. So generally, they'll come to me with an issue that they think that they need to work on, but once we start working together, we actually uncover what the real root cause of the issue is, and so that's when it becomes really fascinating.
Yeah, and I suspect most people won't necessarily appreciate that it can be so connected to other experiences or other, thoughts, situations, etc.
Yeah, it like any physical pain in the body is caused from an emotional block. So it will always be something emotional that needs to be dealt with on the surface, and then it can also be from what your mum was going through whilst you were in the womb, because the baby's very sensitive. It's only got like a slight protection around it, and so whatever the mum's feeling is being passed through. So it can go on for 20, 30 years and not have an issue, and then all of a sudden it's triggered in you, and it's something that needs to be cleared. So that's something else that I help people with. And also it can be from ancestors. So it can be from nans and granddads or great nans and granddads, and it's just been passed down the line. And the other person who's really got to deal with it, clear it.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I know for me, all of what you're just describing was so new, but similar. I just wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
Though the objective was quite clear, I agree. For me, it somewhat changed and deepened and extended. So it not only went in a deeper sense, but also in a broader sense. So every time I saw you, I got results in relief of physical pain. So I had pain in my neck, my lower back. I was getting quite a lot of headaches. And somehow I knew it was obviously tension, but I'd had it so long to feel, and we'll talk about that in a minute in terms of what you actually do, but to feel the work and the healing that you do. And obviously you and I were working remotely.
Yes.
I'm in Melbourne and you're in Queensland. So even that, to be able to do your healing remotely. So what do you actually do? So we'll tell you what our goal is, and you'll help us uncover things that we may or may not have even thought about.
Yeah.
How are you doing this?
Yeah. So as you know, all you need to do is be able to lie down on your own bed or somewhere you can relax and not be disturbed by anyone, because we have that real trusting relationship. So I'm going to be asking you questions that you've probably never spoken about before with anyone. And you've got to make sure that you feel completely comfortable and no one else is going to be listening. So that they're the main things that we set up. And then I'm just able to connect in with your energy. Like, I don't even need to know what you look like.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. We just talk by phone. As you know, sometimes I'm asking you questions that come to me, I'm clearing whilst you're lying there. And then other times I don't actually need to talk to you at all. And I know that you experience like different sensations moving through your body.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating what can be cleared and what comes up. Because that's the other thing as well. Like when I first started to do this work, because I was still in that skeptical mind and wanted to plan everything. I'd have a client and I'd say, right, with this session I'm going to do this and this with her, and have it all planned out, and I'd sit down and it would come through, no you're not. And it would be so far different from what I tried to plan out. I stopped doing that, and I now just turn up, connect in, and let the session go however it needs to. It's fantastic.
And you're such a good listener, because I really like at the beginning of the session, so not only when setting up the number of sessions, but at the beginning of each session, I know with me you'd always say, so how have you been, depending on how long we might have spoken. And even I think if I can reflect, because obviously a lot of the work I do is not in this specific area, but just dealing with people and helping them reach their full potential.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't have time to even sit, reflect, maybe talk to someone that's quite impartial and removed.
Yeah.
And I just found that part of the consultation was also quite healing, just to have someone listening. But obviously while you're doing that, I'm assuming you're tapping in and working with what the client's saying, and then what you're actually feeling, which will lead you to ask certain questions, not to test, but to certainly try and uncover what's really happening. So can you explain a little bit about that process, and perhaps what I, in this case, might be saying might not actually be the real scenario?
Yeah, so like at the beginning of the session, it's really important for me to see what shifts you've had, because it's like in the week, because although you have a session a week, the energy continues to work through you for up to 7 days in between the sessions. So it's really important for me to find out what shifts have gone on and where you are in, this time.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like to really find out about is if there's been shifts with children or the partner, things like that, because that definitely starts to happen as well. And I really need to make sure that you're comfortable with what's going on, and you've not got any questions or anything about anything that's happened, because as you know, you're the centre of the family. If you're in a bad mood or anything, it affects your children, your partner, your animals. And so that time is really to make sure that you're in the right space. And whilst I'm talking to you, that's when I can start clearing anything that comes up. And also during that time, whilst you're talking to me, I'm feeling in my body what's going on in your body. All right. So I tend to get the information come through a few seconds before you will. So I'll say to you things like, how's your throat feeling? And then you'll go, oh, I feel it feels like I've got a lump in my throat or something like that. Or, I feel it. So I'm really just a couple of steps ahead so that I can guide you through what's happening and keep the clearing going on.
Yeah. And that's probably a really good example, because I know with me, I'm happy to share that you did use that as a particular example. And that wouldn't necessarily have been part of my initial goal. I had sore neck and other things, but I think that's a great example where you'll be able to tune into other areas. And maybe I haven't even thought about my throat, but then now you're drawing my attention. I can then sense some tightness or whatever it might be. And I know we spoke sometimes about the connection, as you said earlier, about that emotional connection to different parts of the body. I found that really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I can't even put words to it sometimes, because it's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that you've got that trust with me, that you can feel that you can talk to me honestly, because that's when the shifts happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's never any judgment from me about what you say or what you need to tell me, or if you get upset or anything. The whole purpose is that we clear whatever is going on in your body. And I hope you felt that when you was working.
Yeah. And yeah, well, that's exactly it. Like literally feeling that word, a sense of lightness, or not only because the physical pain was removing each time, but just this higher energy. That was one of my goals. I know, just some higher energy throughout all of my day, being very busy and, you know, with family and other things.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, we get it sometimes when we go on a holiday.
Yes.
In your normal day-to-day routine, because of what you're doing, identifying any blocks that we may or may not be aware of.
Yeah.
The key. And I think that's so special. But you also helped me learn techniques about how to do that myself. So one example would be, you could tell, I didn't even need to say something, but you could tell that a couple of sessions I had been overthinking. I think I launched into learning overdrive. You know, I was signing up to so many different things because I was stimulated and wanted to learn, but you could also see that that was not helping. I was saturating my body literally. So I just, and hence the headaches and everything else. And you sensed that before I even needed to share that with you. And so straight after, I probably knew it, but it was helpful just to have that point. And then straight after I made some changes, and that release was immediate, absolutely immediate results.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what happens when you're, like, obviously I work with a lot of people who've got that analytical mind.
Yeah.
You know, corporate women like yourself, executive coaches, you know, women in leadership, things like that. And so it's very hard for them to switch off. I think they have to be doing all the time or learning and things like that. And so if it comes through where you need to have a break from it, I'm going to just be so honest with you, and I'll just tell you, you need to stop. You know, I'll tell you whatever information comes through, because I am just like the conduit to pass on the information. And I remember that session with you. I think you had just gone completely, like, I think you've done 60 webinars or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. Yeah, a lot of emails were coming through. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I know. I laugh at it now, but at the time, it just seemed to be the right thing to do. But
yeah. And when I first mentioned it to you, I didn't even know what you was doing. But I said to you, "What are you doing? You're not switching off. There's something going on." And you said, "Oh, I might have signed up for a few webinars."
Yeah. So that's a great example. And I suppose just generally, how quickly can clients expect results, whatever those results might be for them?
Yeah, it really depends. Like, some people notice instant things shifting on the first session, and other people it's like we're peeling back an onion.
Yeah.
And you have to just go deeper, because they don't even know what the real problem is. It's so deep in their unconscious mind that they have protected it.
Yeah.
Or if it's come through from the mum or the nan or from the ancestry line, they're not even aware of it. So we have to just be very gentle and do it in a really beautiful way without having to relive any trauma, because that's the thing about the work that I do. You never have to relive any trauma or sexual abuse or anything like that that's going on, because it's unnecessary. And I generally know if there's been abuse going on, and so I can work on it without even mentioning it. Unless sometimes I'll feel that the question needs to be asked, just so that they'll acknowledge it, and then the release happens. So it just really depends on individuals. Some people take a lot longer, but the reason that I do what I do is because I want you to get exceptional results, and I want you to go on and do what your passion is and what you're meant to do in life. Like, I don't want to be working with you for, a year or anything like that. I'm like a little stepping stone that you need to give you the boost to then be able to go off and be amazing.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, actually, because I think a lot of people are perhaps in jobs or situations, whatever it might be, where, they can sense it might not be working for them, but they're just not sure on how to get some assistance or what that might be. So, I mean, that would be my recommendation to those that are listening. If you want someone to really help with not just the healing and the energy, but I think that direction piece, and because that's a lot of what I know we were talking about is, I'm blocking whatever might be there, whether or not you're aware of it or not. Most people I don't think would be. And then, you know, having that sense of excitement and opportunity maybe you wouldn't have had before, you didn't even expect would come through the healing, that, you know, possibilities are endless. I know the situation that sort of I got to, and that was a bonus. That was an absolute added bonus. So I think that's something perhaps worth noting for those listening.
Yeah, thank you, because it's not like you don't just come to me and work on neck pain. Like if we're gonna work together, we're working on your whole body. We're working on your emotions. We're working on physical things and removing any blocks as well. So like if you've got money blocks or relationship blocks, things like that, we're working together to clear them. So it's like the whole package, and that's what's really important. And you know, as you said, you felt so much more clarity and direction, and how relaxed you felt after the sessions. I think every single person who works with me will tell me that.
Yeah.
They just feel so much lighter, like they're in just a different space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's when you flow.
Yeah. And I think for me, the biggest opportunity too was the empowerment. So that's something I'm really passionate about for others.
Yeah.
Experience yourself. And that's what we want. We want, you know, people to feel that themselves, but sometimes you'll need someone to help bring that out or uncover, as we said, some of those barriers that may have been created.
Yeah. Yeah, because most of the time it can be an unconscious block as well, so you don't even know what it is. It's just you feel so stuck and frustrated, especially if you're trying to move forward in your business or in your career.
Yeah.
You're doing all of the work, you're implementing everything that everyone else is telling you to do, and you're just not getting results. And it's just, I've been there. I know how frustrating that is.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to ever suffer with that, because
it
can actually make you just completely give up.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. I'm just having a look at some other questions. I think one of the other questions I had, which perhaps I've already touched on a little bit, but obviously health and happiness for everyone is so important. And I think everyone would agree with that. But why do you think a lot of people perhaps don't prioritise it for themselves?
Honestly, most people don't want to know what their issues are. It's much easier to take a tablet or to drink a bottle of wine or go and buy a new pair of shoes, you know, and just live the way that they've always done. And what I can do is help them shine a light on what is really going on, because when your body is an inner reflection of what's going on in your mind. And so if you don't work on the issues, they're either going to get worse, or things around you are just going to start breaking up. So relationships will break up, your children will start playing up, things like that. So you've got to want to be ready to move forward and want to live differently. Yeah, it's a good point, which I can appreciate. So I suppose that's the purpose of today, is to try and just raise the awareness of what you offer, how it works, and most importantly, you know, maybe people have some interest and there's a referral, or maybe they're just intrigued to learn more. So as you said earlier, you might speak to them and they may or may not be ready, but hopefully for those that are, it's definitely, you know, worth exploring. And, you know, I would say to people listening is try it, because what have you got to lose? And then when you're exploring and receiving these results, as you say, that is actually quite effective. I really like the fact that they really were an hour. Like, you're very efficient, Anne. You know, we were always on time and so much happened within that hour. But I think I liked it because there was almost many benefits. I was going to say double, but more than double benefits, because you were getting the healing. You were able to release and talk to someone that you can build that relationship with. But also, I remember feeling so relaxed, like I'd had another good night's sleep
It was quite draining. It's like a lot of it was released, literally.
Yeah.
So I didn't think, oh gosh, now, sometimes after a massage you can think, oh gosh, no, I can't do anything more today. I should go home and lie down. I didn't feel like that at all. I actually felt very productive on many different levels.
Yeah. And again, people have different experiences. Like some people will literally need to lie down for another half an hour after the session because they feel so deeply relaxed and the energy's still working through them. Or, women like you are ready. They're like, let's go. I know what I need to do. I know what direction I'm moving in, and you go and do it. So it really depends on what we've worked on during that session and what what's ready for you next.
Yeah. Definitely always felt very peaceful. That was one thing. And as I said, that empowerment and that was such a beautiful feeling.
Yeah. And that's what animals really feel when I work with them as well. Like even I only see very few clients in my actual workspace. Everyone is remote, even if they live like 10 minutes down the road, because it's much easier for them to lie in their own bed. And so even when I'm working with animals, I can just connect in with them, and like their owner will say to me, they're snoring, like while they're on their back with their legs in the air. And animals are just so honest and truthful that they're the ones that need this works, because of how they feel after and during the session as well. Like they'll literally be ready for the session and they'll just go and lay down wherever they feel comfortable.
Wow, that's incredible. Because obviously I haven't experienced that because we haven't worked together with animals, but how much of the work that you do would be with animals versus with people? Is it usually a good balance or?
Generally I start with the people and then they'll tell me actually their animal's not well. And it's all related. So if I'm going to work with one, it's good to work with the animal as well, because animals are really sensitive. They pick up the energy in the home. They absorb it, especially dogs, because they want to help us to feel better. They want us to be happy and playful and things like that. So they absorb the energy first of all. And then they become sick, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, did you have anything else that you think would be worth sharing?
Just really to give it a go. Like if you've just watched this with me and Victoria, then I would just, book a free consultation with me. I'm not into hard sell. I'm probably the least person who would do that. It's really 30 minutes for us to have a chat, get to know each other, for me to find out what's going on for you, and then decide if we want to work together. It's that simple. And I think that's why my business works so well. I have women waiting to work with me as well, which is absolutely wonderful. And just really love what I do. So it just it really comes across in the work that I do.
Yeah, it does. And I can vouch for that, absolutely. So thank you, Anne. As I said, thank you for your time today and sharing a little more about what you do and how you do. And I think it's fascinating. And I know your healing abilities are very unique. And I hope people watching, if they're interested, reach out, or maybe they know someone that might benefit in exploring this further. And I wish you and all your current and future clients all the best. Lots of love and happiness. And lovely to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you. And you. And I know that, your business is moving forward and lots of opportunities are opening for you as, in your unique field that you do. And I wish you all the best as well, Victoria.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne.
All right. I'll speak to you soon.
Right. I'll see you soon.
All right.
Yeah. Bye. Bye. ultimate passion is to try and get some of these non-traditional, maybe areas that people don't typically understand or have utilised into more of the corporate environments where, to be honest, I think they need it most.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so important because that environment can be so self-destructive because there's so much competition there. You know, you're with your colleagues a long time. If you don't get on with one or two of them, it's just completely draining on your energy. And then you try and do your best at work, and then you go home and you have to try and be with your family, and it's very hard to switch off between the two. So you can feel like living two different lives sometimes because it can be so different.
Yeah,
you have to be fully on the ball when you're at work, and that, you know, masculine mindset of targets and moving forward and achieving. And then when you get home and your children want to show you drawings or tell you about their day, or your husband's had a bad day and he wants to talk to you, and you just get the wine out.
It's hard, and it can be somewhat relentless because, again, you don't necessarily have that time, as I was saying earlier, to just stop and just invest in your own mind, body and spirit, because you just don't even have the time. So that's what I think prevents a lot of people looking at these sorts of opportunities, is they just won't have the time. And if they do, maybe, as you say, they'll do something that they're more familiar with, whether it be medication or something else that doesn't necessarily get to the cause.
Yeah. Well, as you said, like an hour a week with me feels like you've had an extra 8 hours sleep, and then you're ready and much clearer to go on and do what you need to do. So it's like your body has a reboot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back, gets you back on track. You know, as women, we're all so busy all the time. We've got so much to do with work and families and everything. And then Saturdays are used for trying to catch up with all the chores at home, or, you know, running kids around and things like that. So Sunday you're sort of nearly exhausted, and then you start again on the Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just doesn't stop.
Doesn't.
And so it's like you're investing the hour just for you. It's like it's no one else's time. It's just specifically for you to be able to just talk to someone and just release what's really causing, you know, problems.
Yeah.
So you're actually investing in yourself, in your health.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think until you do it do you really absolutely realise the difference.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure many people, friends and family, will say, you should take a break, you should do this, you should go have a facial. But it's not really typically on top of people's lists until they do it and they think, oh, I must do this more often.
Yeah.
A month or two passes and they just don't get to it. So I think it's interesting, actually, which doesn't surprise me, that probably it is exactly why people come to you, unfortunately, as a last resort.
Yeah.
Which is not really what we want. Ideally, they're coming to you as and when maybe they're a little more in tune with their own selves, and that would be better. But nevertheless, obviously, regardless of at what point they come to you, it's fantastic that you're able to assist them.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes they're nearly at breaking point when they come to me. So, and that's why it can take a little bit longer for the sessions to start to work, because their energy is just so low.
Yeah.
And they just, you know, they can even spend the first whole session just crying.
Yeah.
And it's just releasing what's been going on for so long. So, there's never any judgment from me or anything. And, you know, it's really funny, but when people make the decision to start to work with me, before they've even had that first session, things will start shifting for them. And did that happen for you?
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know when I did my summary, I remember I couldn't wait to get started. I just new, even though in my own mind I thought this is going to be quite interesting, working with someone remotely on some, virtual healing. But I was so excited. I couldn't wait to get started. And I think you're right. Maybe just, like anything, when you're in a position of being excited and happy and versus worried and angry and anxious, that in itself has a positive impact on your whole well-being.
Yeah, definitely.
So that to me makes sense. But
yeah.
I'm assuming everyone's different, but I definitely felt that.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.